Hi, Jeremy Peterson here with Vesta Real Estate and Property Management here in Ogden, Utah. Today we are going to talk about setting rents for your particular rental property and some ideas to think about while you're doing that. It's June 2018 and rents have been increasing about 5% per year for the last several years. That's still behind house prices, which have been increasing faster, but rents are trying to catch up. So we want to talk about some ideas on how to go about setting the rents. Should they be high? Should they be low? What's the advantages and drawbacks of each scenario? So here's a chart to help guide us. On the left-hand side of this chart is effective income. This is actually what you get from the property after collections, vacancy, and everything else. On the bottom of the chart is rents, where you set rents high or low for what your particular unit is valued at in the market. So on the left-hand side, you'll see the corner of this, the left side of this chart shows low rents and low effective income. That's a no-brainer, right? In this area, you'll find landlords that have kept rents low for the last decade or more. They haven't raised rents periodically to keep up with the market. And some of the justification for that is that they like to have tenants in place. They don't like vacancy. And this makes sense for landlords that don't like to work with tenants. I recently sold a property where the landlord had not increased rents in 30 years, and he was charging $250 for units that should be $550 or $600. So crazy situation there, and you can imagine the tenant's reaction when things were going to change. On the far right of the chart, you see high rents, but ironically, you see low effective income from the property. And this has to do with what happens when rents start to go above the market. And oftentimes you'll find that the tenant quality is degraded in this high rent area. They'll either have bad credit or criminal record or both. Maybe they have lots of pets or things that make it hard for them to find a rental unit, and therefore they will pay more for a rental unit than would be a tenant that is better qualified. The problem with this part of the curve is that rents may be set high, but there is usually problems with collections, vacancy, and damage to the property. So the actual revenue that a landlord makes, while on paper may look high, in reality the revenues are less because of these other factors. They're fixing the property, or the tenant couldn't pay because they didn't realize that they signed a lease that was just too high for what their income is, or maybe they just don't have their life in order and just walk out, or have other issues that are a bigger priority for them. So at the very high end, we call this the dysfunctional part of the rental curve. At the low end, it's just ineffective or inefficient. So we want to have our rent set in this sweet spot. Now, how do you find where your sweet spot is for your unit? Well, first off, a good rule of thumb is that your rents should be equal to or less, usually equal to maximize efficiency, equal to 1/3 of what your tenant's income is. So if your tenant makes $1,000 a month income, your rents should be about $333 a month. You might be able to get away with $335, but the closer you are to that ratio, the better experience you're going to have as a landlord, and the more likely your tenant is going to be able to pay and keep up on things in the unit as far as utilities and whatnot. By following that rule, you basically guarantee stability for you and your rental experience. Now, how do we know what people are making in order to set rents? Well, we don't, right? We kind of have to guess. And the best way to find out is to put a number on your rent, put the property out there for people to look at, and then start getting applications and seeing what their income looks like relative to your rents. And if their income is way high, it means that your rents are probably too low. And if people's incomes are too low relative to your rents, that means that you've got it way high on the curve and you're going to have vacancy and collections problems. So anyway, following this 1/3 rule gets us into the sweet spot. And if you do that, you should have a great experience. We manage 80 rental properties here in the Ogden and the northern North Davis, Weber County area, with a lot of rental units here in the Ogden City area. And we have found that when we follow this rule, it makes it for a pleasant experience for us management-wise. Anyway, that's your hot tip for the day. If you have any property management related questions, feel free to reach out to me and we'll talk some more. Thanks so much.